spinning in the Caribbean this morning. Hurricane Irma remains a Category 5. Will this monster intensify? Jim.
Believe it or not, some of the guidance suggests it does. People on the southeast coast, especially Florida, boarding up, gassing up, and stocking up ahead of Irma, which is likely to make landfall in the U.S. As a matter of fact, the Hurricane Center calls for that. But there has been a shift in the model over the last 24 hours, Jen.
And it is so important to know your zone. With Irma's track still uncertain, if you were told to evacuate, would you know where to go? We're helping you get ready this morning right here on the Weather Channel.
Oh, mercy. Good morning, everybody. I'm meteorologist Jim Cantori alongside meteorologist Stephanie Abrams and meteorologist Jen Carfagno. Hurricane Irma, destructive monster, Category 5 storm. Hurricane hunters are on their way out there right now. We're going to get the latest on that probably within the hour, actually. And now half the state of Florida, if not a little bit more, is in that cone of uncertainty. As Irma edges closer, Florida residents prepare to batten down the hatches. Tampa, Titusville, and everywhere in between, filling up sandbags, gassing up cars, and charging up generators. And as the mayor of Miami has put it, and this is perfect, it really is all hands on deck. And Stephanie, if you live in Florida, certainly along the coastline, you're no stranger to hurricanes. But we've seen such an increase in the population since the last major hurricane.
Yeah, we have, you know.
4 million people.
Wilma is the last major hurricane to come in. It was a Category 3. We have a jaw-dropping satellite to show you. This is the visible. We've all, as meteorologists, been waiting for this thing to come up because you need the sun to rise in order to see this. This is as if you're sitting on the moon and you're trying to take a picture. So if there's no sun, it's pitch black. You cannot see anything. This is just spectacular, okay? So we have St. Bart, St. Martin, and Anguilla. St. Bart now is getting back into the eye wall. We had a little bit of a break. As we zoom in closer, the fact that we're getting these images, this is with our new satellite that's out there. St. Martin finally in the eye, Anguilla almost fully in the eye, just the western portion here on the eye wall. The eye wall, by the way, I want to remind everyone, that is the worst part. So right here, this is where you have the strongest winds in this eye wall. In the eye, it is literally clear. You could see the stars if it's nighttime. You could see the sun if it's daytime. It is calm. It is clear. Just spectacular there. But let me tell you, spectacular damage going on as well in that eye wall. Wow. All right, let's move it along here to show you what else we are dealing with. Winds 185, pressure 914. It's picked up speed here. Okay, up to 16 miles per hour, west-northwest. These things wobble a little bit too. We'll look at that as well. Tropical storm force winds across the whole system, 350 miles. Hurricane force winds across the whole system, 100 miles. That's why it is so important that you pay attention. I think why the National Hurricane Center also is keeping that cone extended. We could see little shifts in this, and that can make a huge difference. I want to show you that cone. Florida's still in it, even though we've seen a little bit of a shift to the east here. Remember, going from Fort Lauderdale, Naples, this right here, Jim, that's 100 miles. That's the amount of hurricane force winds that so even if it's a little bit offshore, we could get hurricane force winds through the eastern half of Florida.
You know what I wonder, just looking at that cone? What is the longest we've had something at Cat 5 strength?
Yes.
Okay. So,
Klotzbach would know that. We could tweet Klotzbach. He would know that.
You notice till Saturday morning they've got that almost to Cat 5. All right. Wow, it started yesterday at Cat 5. So that's pretty incredible. I mean, that's just the atmosphere doing some wild stuff. All right, so beyond where, you know, Stephanie showed that incredible visible imagery by this morning, all of us were just like this. Wow. I mean, that's just an incredible visible image of this thing. It goes on through the northern part of the U.S. and British Virgin Islands, kind of skims Puerto Rico. You're going on the northern side of the island, you're going to take part of the strongest part of this hurricane. So get ready for, you know, certainly hurricane force winds there. They're certainly within the range. Then we actually get a break by tomorrow morning. Okay, 24 hours from now, we're not really hammering any land with the eye wall. So it's just free to cruise over warm water and no shear. So there's no real reason to think it's going to, you know, weaken at all. But by Friday morning, now it's moving through the Turks and Caicos. So that's when you guys are going to feel, you know, some of the fury of this thing. Still, by the way, as a Cat 5 hurricane, as it's forecast. And then it's going to make its way between the southern Bahamas and Cuba. And this is really the big change. All right, instead of coming to the south across Cuba, a lot of the models now have shifted on the eastern side. So you're a little bit more heavily loaded here versus down on the southwest side. And you've seen that with respect to the cone shifting east, but they haven't taken the western side off, and that's probably a wise choice. So here's two 2 a.m., okay, look at how far west that thing is loaded. And now, of course, it's shifted pretty much equidistant and leaving Florida in the center point of the cone. Guys, remember that even though we're talking about something potentially landfalling Saturday night late or Sunday morning, you're still talking about potentially getting tropical storm force winds in here as we go into Friday night, early Saturday morning. And that's what we need you to prepare for. So have all your preparations done. Jen.
All right, well, let's talk about the islands, Jim, because right now the Hurricane Irma is just tearing across the Caribbean with powerful wind and rain. Actually, there was rain that arrived yesterday in St. Kitts and Nevis. You can see it right here, blowing and bending palm trees, sort of those tropical storm force conditions. But now we've got the full force of Category 5 storm bearing down on the islands this morning. And Steph, we've got right now St. Kitts and Nevis getting into that eye wall. And within the eye, the calm of the eye, we've got St. Bart's and St. Martin.
And it's nice to have that break. Jim, we have the answer to your question. Our meteorologists, Greg and Heather, are working on it. Alan and Ivan. Alan in 1980, Ivan in 2004, 3 days. Cat 5 winds.
3 days is Cat 5.
3 days. And this was a Cat 5 starting at 11 a.m. yesterday. But remember, Cat 5 now is 157. Before it used to be greater than 155.
Okay.
You know, they changed the scale. So I'm just saying, you know.
Yeah. So we have a chance then, essentially, with this one to get up there.
We do. Okay, so let's get back to St. Martin here. No, don't thank me. Thank our incredible guys. We're just the face of this place. We have a massive team of hardworking, brilliant humans that help us. So thank you to Heather and Greg who are working with us this morning. All right, rainfall 8 to 12 inches here into St. Martin. You can follow them, by the way, on Twitter. You can GDime Weather and HZons. Here's a look at the waves that we're going to see with this. Notice 25, 30 feet, even higher than that, propagating out from the center of this thing. So huge wave action here, huge onshore push. That's going to mean surge, and it's going to make its way towards, by the way, there's 700 islands that make up the Bahamas. The Virgin Islands coming into us here close to Puerto Rico. Wednesday, it'll be this evening, by the way. Today is Wednesday. Heavy rain as well for the islands. So there's the U.S. Virgin Islands. There's Puerto Rico for you. And a quick look at San Juan. It's going to be tonight, Jen. Rainfall not too bad because that rain's going to stay where the system is offshore.
All right, so people in Puerto Rico need to be wrapping up preparations this morning, though. You saw that timing. And in South Florida, people there saw the terror Harvey handed Texas. They're taking no chances with Irma on their doorstep.
What just happened in Texas, we have to prepare. Our neighborhoods are really prone to flooding, so we're just trying to make sure that we are prepared enough to not have that happen to us.
Getting ready for a Category 5 monster starts with sandbags. We'll show other preparations at 10 past the hour. Step-free sandbags are available in Tampa and Miami Beach with proof of residency.
Jen, we want to hit the headlines of Hurricane Irma and what we know right now. The island of Barbuda took a direct hit from Irma's 185-mile-per-hour winds overnight. That is not video behind us of what it looked like there when the storm was coming through. I just want to clarify that. The White House approving pre-landfall emergency declarations for Florida and Puerto Rico. Florida's governor activating all 7,000 members of the National Guard effective Friday. And mandatory evacuations began this morning for tourists in the Florida Keys. And then they are going to evacuate residents, Jen, as well, shutting down the airport too. So there's only one way out of the Keys if the airport shuts down. That is Highway 1, the overseas highway, 113-mile drive to the mainland. And I got to tell you guys, it is a slow drive even on a good day.
Yeah, the weekends are crowded right here, so you can imagine what a slow ride this is going to be. So let's talk about the areas that need to be aware. We've talked about the Florida Keys. On this map, everywhere in orange are places that we're saying be aware. Know your zone, know the threats, make sure you're paying attention to the forecast and changes to the forecast as well. And by the way, you know, we're still several days out, so this forecast will change several times as new information gets into the models. Follow the forecast frequently, prepare to take action, and double check your supplies. That's good to do throughout the hurricane season, but especially right now. Make sure your kits are ready. You've got flashlights and batteries and everything else. We'll talk more about what should be in that kit this morning. Know your zone. Go to floridadisaster.org to find out your zone and, of course, follow evacuation orders. We'll have a closer look at your local forecast. We'll be right back.